Thick mist covered the battlefield. Two armies stood face to face, their banners fluttering in the cold wind. One army was large, powerful, and confident. The other was smaller, quiet, waiting. At the center of the smaller army stood a man in a simple general's robe. His eyes scanned the battlefield, calm and unreadable. This was Sun Tzu. He raised his hand. His soldiers moved like flowing water, shifting positions in ways the enemy did not expect. Before the larger army could react, they were surrounded. Confusion spread through their ranks. Traps had already been set, and the enemy had walked straight into them. Sun Tzu watched as his plan unfolded perfectly. He did not need more men, nor did he need brute strength. He needed only strategy. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you will never lose a battle. A horn sounded. His soldiers attacked at the perfect moment, striking the confused enemy. The battle was over before it truly began. Sun Tzu's army, though outnumbered, stood victorious. Sun Tzu was not born a general. He was a thinker, a man who studied war not for bloodshed, but for victory. His ideas spread across the land until they reached the ears of King Helu of Wu, a ruler eager for conquest. King Helu was curious about this unknown strategist, but did not fully trust his wisdom. He decided to test him. "If you are truly a master of war," the king said, "then you should be able to turn anyone into an army, even my concubines." The king's concubines were beautiful, dressed in silks and used to luxury. They laughed as Sun Tzu stood before them, giving orders as if they were soldiers. But Sun Tzu did not smile. He gave them a simple command. They laughed instead of obeying. He repeated the command. They still laughed. Sun Tzu turned to the king. "If the instructions are not clear, the fault is mine. But if the instructions are clear and still ignored, the fault lies with the soldiers." Then, to everyone's shock, he ordered the execution of the king's two favorite concubines, the ones he had chosen as leaders. Silence fell. The remaining concubines stood frozen in fear. Sun Tzu spoke again, his voice steady. "A leader must be strong. Without discipline, there is no army." When he gave his next command, the women obeyed perfectly. By the end of the training, they moved like real soldiers. King Helu, though shaken, now believed in Sun Tzu's genius. He appointed him as his general. Soon Wu was at war with the mighty kingdom of Chu. The Chu army was large, powerful, and feared. Wu's army was smaller, but Sun Tzu was not afraid. "All warfare is based on deception," he told his commanders. "Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak." He spread false rumors, making the enemy believe Wu's army was retreating. He lured the Chu generals into traps, ambushed their supplies, and made them fight on terrain where they could not win. The enemy was always a step behind. Battle after battle, Wu, the smaller state, defeated Chu. Other kingdoms watched in shock as Sun Tzu's strategies destroyed armies much larger than his own. His greatest victory was not through bloodshed, but through control. He won battles before they even began. Years passed. Sun Tzu grew older, and his battles became legends. But his greatest achievement was not war. It was his knowledge. He wrote down everything he had learned in a book called The Art of War. His teachings did not die with him. Centuries later, great leaders studied his words. Napoleon read his strategies before battle. Mao Zedong used his lessons in revolution. Even in modern times, business leaders follow his wisdom to outsmart their rivals. But what happened to Sun Tzu himself? Some say he disappeared after his victories, choosing to live in peace. Others believe he continued to advise rulers from the shadows. No one knows for sure. But his words remain, whispered through time. The greatest victory is the one won without fighting.